When Vince McMahon took over his dad's company, he completely changed the landscape of professional wrestling forever. I'm sure most of us are aware of his impact on the business. Vince McMahon bought out all of his competition and took professional wrestling to a level that it's never been on before. The WWF went from a small territory to the most popular wrestling show that would be featured in the homes of millions of people watching on TV. The company's popularity skyrocketed throughout the 80s, especially with the success of WrestleMania. Celebrities around the world even got in on the action and wanted to show up in the WWE. Wrestlers became superstars that would even make appearances in box office films. The WWF was booming in the 80s, and after a small dry period of time in the early 90s, Vince McMahon took the company and made it even more popular than before. The Attitude Era was the hottest time during the entire history of the business period. No one will ever reach those nearly 8-figure numbers for their viewership. That was completely unheard of. WWE was one of the most talked about things on TV. It was the cool thing that everyone was watching, and although things did slowly begin to decline, the Ruthless Aggression era was still pretty damn good. I know a ton of people stopped watching since it did not have the same energy as it did in the Attitude Era, but it was still interesting nonetheless, and since that was my favorite era because I grew up during it, I probably enjoyed it a little bit more than I probably should. Unfortunately, WWE's quality continued to sink to the point where I think it got dead. Okay, it's obviously not completely dead since it's still on TV and generating the most revenue it's ever made, but I think there was a day when I felt like everything forever changed, and this day would have a long-lasting impact that negatively affected WWE, and I don't think they've ever recovered from it. Before we do get into the video, I just want to say that this is relative and my opinion is going to be different from others. I just feel like this is the day that it died for me, and just because it died does not mean that there haven't been interesting times throughout the period of years when the product has gotten better, like for instance 2012 or 2011 during CM Punk's pipe bomb, or 2014 during Daniel Bryan's rise to superstardom. I think there were some interesting times, but overall, consistently wise, I don't think that the WWE has recovered from this day. Without further ado, let's get right into the video and jump into it. For those that may be confused right now, June 24th, 2007 is the day that the cops arrived on scene to Chris Benoit's home to find a horrific scene. The Chris Benoit tragedy is the day that I think that WWE died for many different reasons. The major one being is that this entire situation completely shocked everyone and it really came out of nowhere. It was such a dark and gruesome event that makes you question the physical and mental health of WWE talents. Because of this, there was a lot of heat on the WWE throughout the media, and people didn't even want their children watching the program anymore because they believed it was too violent. And I'll be honest with you, one time I went to my friend's house and brought Dave Reckoning, and his mom wouldn't even let us play it because that's how dangerous she thought wrestling was because of this event. A lot of parents would really point to this as a prime example of why not to watch WWE. CNN and other news coverages were slandering the company. It was honestly a rough time. The brand image of the WWE was essentially tarnished because of this tragedy. I think what made it even worse was the fact that Eddie Guerrero died 19 months earlier. Eddie's death was incredibly heartbreaking, and I vividly remember sobbing in tears. However, that was a heart failure, and it was a totally different case from his best friend, but still, the fact that that happened and then this happened right after, I think was just wild. Seeing the news of Chris Benoit losing his mind was pretty traumatizing, and knowing what he did, it was really dark, you know what I mean? At least for myself when I was younger. Something about this event really pushed me away from the WWE. It did not have that same excitement. I still watched the show, but that was always in the back of my mind. The bigger impact that this tragedy had was making WWE go through a complete overhaul of the company in order to salvage their reputation. Because in 2008, Linda McMahon started to run for Senate, and the company was forced to fix the brand image of WWE if she wanted to succeed and win. Vince McMahon's solution was turning the product PG and implementing new protocols, especially for injuries or anyone with drug abuse. We can look back and obviously say that those new policies were for the better, but we can't say the same thing about the TV rating. Making the product PG was one of the worst possible changes the company could have made. It became way too soft. It essentially stripped away the violence that is needed in professional wrestling. In the end, it did work out for Vince McMahon though, when you look at it from a business perspective. WWE's decision to turn PG did fix their reputation, that worked out, and it even worked out for Pllana McMahon and her campaign. And it worked out for the WWE because they were back to targeting families. The show was once again a family-friendly product. And WWE's PR took a 180-degree turn, with people seeing that the company was actually focused on making changes to avoid any future tragedy. While it did help the company and probably save the business, most fans would agree and say that it killed our passion. Most wrestling fans do not have the same love they have for WWE. And the reason for the decline in the product's quality, as well as the new PG rating, is a direct ripple effect from June 24th, 2007, and that is more than evident by looking at the ratings, because back then the company was drawing 4 to 5 million viewers, and now we're at the point where they are only drawing 1.7 million viewers from Monday Night Raw. That is not a good look, and I think it's probably because of June 24th, 2007, the Chris Benoit tragedy. Before I sign off from this video, I have some closing thoughts that I would like to make. So the title of this video is obviously the day that I think WWE died. I still believe that the company has gotten a bit better over the last 2 years. 2021 has been very successful so far, in my opinion. It is probably the best year in a really long time. Bobby Lashley as the WWE champion is incredible. It's a great choice. I think it's a phenomenal thing that's happening right now, and it's even leading to people praising Monday Night Raw as of late. SmackDown, on the other hand, has been getting a lot of love as well, mainly because of this Roman Reigns character and the entire storyline with his family. I still believe that this is WWE's best work that they've done with anyone since 2014 with Daniel Bryan. The company has also strayed away from being very soft and family friendly. It does have an edge to it, more so than it did in 2010. Like, if you were to watch a Raw from 2010 versus a Raw from this week, they would be two totally different shows, with one being very childish. I have a lot of optimism about the WWE. There's even been a report that Vince McMahon sees that the product feels a little dry right now, and he will make sure to bring back the fire that they once had before. I expect WWE to be really good when the crowds come back, and I am beyond excited. If there is one person that can revive WWE, it is Vince McMahon. Anyways, that is it for the video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Let me know when you think was the day that WWE died in the comments below, unless you don't think it ever died and you always thought it's been good. On the screen right now, though, are some other videos that you should check out if you have some free time, so go ahead and click one of them. I will see you all in the next video.